Shack Addy ASMR.
Hello. It has been a minute since the last upload. Happy 2026. I hope that your new year went well and things have worked out. If any resolutions were made, I hope that they are maintained, I guess, or achieved could be the better word. I'm gonna be so for real when I say that I am not doing great, unfortunately. My financial situation isn't great. I am potentially losing my flat in March, and will have to move in with my mother, who, to be clear, is lovely and wonderful. But still, it is very unfortunate when life things that are external to me, not necessarily in my control, change and force me to adapt to my circumstances, if that makes sense. I had not intended to make a video tonight, but unfortunately, like the clumsy galoot I am, I've managed to trip and break the HDMI wire that connects my Xbox to my TV, which means I can't play video games, which is normally how I decompress after a very social day. But alas, I cannot this time, so I'm going to do a video instead. Now, when thinking about what kind of video to make, I thought about doing some singing, or talking about D&D, or trying to make something with all of the hours of B-roll footage that I have. But I decided instead what I wanted to do was talk about the play that I hope to write. It's something that I've mentioned before. It is something that I've been thinking about and planning to write or trying to write for a long time. Apologies while I adjust my microphone. The play is called The Seahorse. The Seahorse. The Seahorse. That is at least the concept name for the play. And it is a passion project, I guess is what you could call it. It still hasn't reached the practical stage. I've barely written anything for it over 2 years. But I now have a firm kind of outline on what it is. So I'm going to go over that outline because people expressed interest in hearing more about it, and I'd love to ramble about it. And I also hope that in me talking about it and reigniting my passion for it, it may help me to get back into the flow of writing, because it's a cool play and I'd love to get it written. So what I'm going to do is read through the summary that I have written of all the different scenes in the play, and then after the summary of each scene, go into a bit more detail about what happens in this scene and why it's important and my thoughts behind it. The first scene, which has the working title, Seawater. 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 The notes are dark lighting, Scottish, bothy / cottage, dark blue, flashes of white, alien lighting. So the concept here is that most of this play will take place in one location, and that is a bothy. A bothy is the name for a Scottish, not necessarily Scottish, but in Scotland they exist. It's a cottage or a settlement, not settlement, it's a cottage or a structure or a building or whatever that is out in the wilds and is maintained and is used by travelers to rest or stay the night if they require it. So, the first scene begins in this bothy. It's dark, there's a storm outside, there's blue lighting. I want it to feel like it's underwater almost, with flashes of white as if lightning through water under the ocean. An unnamed character, who I refer to as Boy, enters. I'm now going to read verbatim the notes that I have. Boy stove, perhaps. A hat. A felt hat, or a deerstalker, or a cap, or any sort of hat, etc. So he would basically walk into this place, interact with these objects, and they would be strange to him, and that would reveal to the audience that something about this boy is strange and different, and that while he looks human, he is perhaps not. So I will get more into this boy later and who he is, but for now we'll continue the description. Some of the objects that he interacts with stick to him, or he is unable to let go of them, and he is enamored with specific items. Eventually, a deafening thunder startles him. He throws an object to the ground, whatever it was he was holding, perhaps a kettle, and falls to his knees on the stage, and viscerally vomits water from his mouth onto the floor, staining the stone or the wood of the floor. That is the description. Now, this scene is not a full scene, it's not very long. It is a short introduction scene, like what's the term? A prologue at the beginning of the play. This boy is a mythical creature in the form of a human, and I love the idea of someone viscerally just spewing water from their mouth. I think it's a very interesting image, and I think it would look very cool, and it would sound very cool, like the idea of the thunder cutting out and everything like that. But yes, this scene is to show the boy entering this world and his curiosity with our world, but how it is alien to him still and doesn't belong there. The second scene. The second scene, entitled Girl Meets Boy. This play is one where music is very important to me, and I will include the playlist that I have been using as my inspiration. I made the playlist, to be clear, but it's a playlist of all the songs that I feel have relevance to the story and the play, and I listen to, and I'm working on it in the description below. But Girl, the name of the traditionally female character, plays or sings a song. Specifically right now, the song choice I'm thinking is a song called Dwelling by the Weir by Ellie Gowers. Dwelling by the Weir. It's a wonderful song. I'd recommend it. Girl plays or sings Dwelling by the Weir by Ellie Gowers as the boy slowly leaves, brushing past her, but not touching her. Brushing past her, but not touching her. The lighting slowly transitions from dark storm to calm night to sunrise to a bright midday. A bright midday. Sharp yellow/white light. Bird calls, a sunny day on the moors or in the hills. Girl, the name of the female character, arrives to the cottage, explores the room, lovingly reminiscing over items. Some of the same items that the boy touched last night. She opens the shutters, lightly dusts the room, explores as if she is familiar with the place, but only from memories of a long time ago. She notices the dark stain on the floor, left by the water spewed by the boy, and she examines it for a moment and seems uncomfortable with it, as if it doesn't belong there. As she is pondering it, boy enters from outside, more put together than last night, no longer hurt, no longer walking strangely like an animal, but still slightly disheveled. The boy and girl talk. He asks her what she's doing here, and she explains that she's visiting to get away from the city. She came here when she was younger. The boy is cryptic or aloof, saying that he's from the area too, but hasn't been around for a while. They converse. The boy eventually leaves, the girl giving him a strange look as he leaves. There is a sort of spark or chemistry between the two of them, maybe a shared joke or a shared look. The boy is quite awkward and unsure of what to do with himself. This scene is the woman being introduced to the man for the first time, and her being in this space and her belonging there, essentially her knowing these items and understanding what they mean and what they're for, and him not understanding what they mean. The stain on the floor showing that he doesn't belong here and he is infecting this place. goes to bed, and the lighting once again transitions. The nighttime light, the alien light begins again, the blues and the lightning and the thunder. Thrashing wind and branches, the shrill screaming of wind and animal sounds. You know, the sound of the visceral cry of a horse in fear or in pain plays through. A shutter slams open from the wind. The rain and sound enter the room, and girl enters with a lantern. She's about to push the shutter closed, but hears sounds outside. She goes to the door, and we hear a boy shouting in pain or anger or fear. She shouts to him. She hears the shrieking. It seems the boy is making strange noises, and she runs to him and pulls him inside the house. Boy is a mess. He's monstrous. He's wet. He is not himself. The way he moves, the way he looks, perhaps using makeup or a prosthetic or a mask. He looks like a horse. Horse imagery, perhaps a mask or strange bones moving or sticking out. Boy is a mess. He collapses on the table, gargling about death and almost like he's drowning. The girl goes to look after him, but the boy is adamant that she stay away from him and that she must not touch his skin at all. She asks why and what's going on. The boy says something cryptic about who he is or what he is, and before he can finish, the thunder begins again and he runs out into the storm. He slams the door. The scene ends. This scene is the moment where she starts to meet who he really is. This boy is not a human. He is, quote unquote, a monster, a mythical creature, a water horse. And for whatever reason, he is in battle or in fear and pain, being fought or hurt. And she must not touch him, even though she wishes to look after him. Scene 4, labeled A Domestic Conversation. Girl is cooking on the old stove in the cottage, focused on her work. She doesn't notice as a boy enters, disheveled once more, battered perhaps with ripped clothes. He announces his presence, and after some moments of startled fear, their conversation continues. The boy is unwilling to lead the conversation, so the girl does, talking about where she's from and that she moved here from the city. Eventually the boy opens up. He came from the sea. He only remembers the sea with his father. The boy describes his father as brilliant but cruel, a monstrous creature, a yig, which is in Scottish folklore a type of water horse. This creature tricks and murders travelers by the water or leads them astray in storms. The boy describes that he wishes to change himself to not be this vicious monster, and that his father tried to stop him and they fought. The boy breaks down and begs the girl to help him change, to help him fit into the world above the water, to help him reject the ways of his father and the ways of his blood and try to do better, essentially. The girl agrees. She's sympathetic. She offers to help him. So, this creature in Scottish folklore is a version of a selkie or kelpie, so a horse-like creature that inhabits water. But while other Scottish creatures are benevolent, this one is entirely malevolent. This creature takes the form of a beautiful young man or a brilliant and wonderful horse and tries to get a traveler on the road to touch it, whether that's by taking the hand of a handsome stranger or riding on the back of a beautiful horse. The creature then sticks to you, its skin becoming adhesive, and it pulls you to the water with its great strength and drowns you. So, definitely a malicious, vicious creature. This boy and his father are these creatures, and the father is trying to raise his son to do this as well, to be this creature that he is meant to be. The sea flows in his blood, and the killer flows in his blood too, but the boy doesn't want to. And the girl sympathetically offers to help him. Scene number 5, labeled The Moon Will Sing, after the song. This is a play that I've thought about the idea of including music into it. I'm not sure necessarily, but hypothetically, if I were to, the girl and boy would sing together. Potentially the song the moon will sing. You may know it. It goes, the moon will sing a song for me. I loved you like the sun. It's a very nice song, very sad. Girl and boy sing together. Time has passed. A montage of sorts, a sped-up frame, whatever device I would use. It is moving from spring into summer, and summer towards autumn. The boy no longer appears disheveled. He's wearing better clothes. The girl has changed from her city clothes into something more fitting the environment. Their conversations are no longer awkward. They talk about ethics or philosophy, appreciation for arts and life. They discuss music that she's shown him that he likes. He remarks about the clothes he wears now, how he likes wearing these normal, regular, modern clothes, but how he misses the sea, and that he will miss her as well when she has to leave to go home in a few weeks. The girl laments that she wishes she could stay, but she needs to go home. She looks forward to seeing him again in a few months from when he returns. In a few months when she returns. The boy asks that if he gets lonely, can he go to the nearby town and make friends there, but the girl says she doesn't think it's a good idea, that he's not ready. The girl leaves. The boy looks around nervously, and the thunder that has been absent from the last scene begins again, rumbling overhead ominously. His father is calling him back, and the scene ends. So, this scene doesn't have a lot of notes, very much what actually happened. This scene shows that the two characters are closer now. The boy is clearly in love with the girl, or at least in a way that he would view love. He's infatuated with her, he has a crush on her, whatever you would use. And the girl clearly feels for the boy too. But in terms of writing it, I wouldn't want it to be very clear on whether or not she reciprocates the romantic feelings. This parts of the scene, I imagine the idea of like the Victorian love affair, where it's like two people that are madly in love but can't touch, can't hold hands, can't share skin, because obviously he is a scary monster and may kill her, right? She may be stuck to him if she touches his skin. So, in this scene, we want to showcase that the boy and girl have become closer, and that the boy is in love with the girl, and the girl may have feelings for him too. But the girl has to leave. The girl has taught the boy how to be a human, but now she must go and come back in time. The next part would take place entirely using sound. It would contain the sounds of a storm and a raging tide, the water and waves on the beach, sounds of underwater and wild hoarse shrieks, and the claps of thunder and the sounds of bludgeoning. It would then still, the storm would pass, and the sound would transition from the ocean to the beach, and the beach to the road, and the road to the cobblestone streets of a nearby town, all overshadowed by the clip-clop of horse hooves that eventually become smart, sharp steps of boot. We would hear the sounds of a pub or a club or a festival, streets with people talking, a young boy shouting, a woman laughing, whatever. And then sounds of flirting, the giggle before a kiss. And then a scuffle, a fight, perhaps a scream, and the sounds of raging water once again. We will explain more about what this means in a moment with scene 6. As we transition into scene 6, time has passed. The summer has moved on to winter. The backdrop lighting changes to represent the cold air and the lack of leaves. We come back to the bothy. The girl returns to the cottage after some time away, and she begins the same actions as before. She enters, she puts the kettle on, and she looks for signs of the boy, who promised that he would be there when she gets back. But he's not there in the daytime. She looks to him in the sunlight and sees nothing. She waits a moment and then nervously pours herself a pot of tea, sits and waits. Day turns into night, and when night comes, as does the Ikiasik, those wicked howls and cries of a wounded horse, musical with the idea of almost a siren. This boy sings and moves like he's dancing through water, or zero gravity, with ballet moves and beautiful motion, and she begins to sway with him as he dances, and we can see her falling under the spell of this creature. He flirts with her and remarks about all the friends he made over the summer in the village, using the knowledge of the new world that the girl taught him. This dance continues until she is backed away to the fireplace, and he's almost toward her when, in desperation of her telling him to stop, she grabs a nearby fire poker and presses it against his body. The hot metal, as it touches him, does not make the sound of burning. It makes the sound of immediate boiling water, a blacksmith submerging the sword into the cooling water, and the of water. He immediately freaks out, breaks this trance he's in, stops dancing, and becomes that strange awkward boy he was before. He falls apart and backs away from her, apologizing profusely that he almost hurt her. She demands the hot fire poker in her hand that he explain what just happened, and he does. He confesses that he missed her so much and he couldn't be without her. So he went down. My apologies, I'm missing a part. He missed her badly, and in that moment his father came to him again and tried to convince him to return. And the boy did return, and they fought. And the boy killed his father. And thinking that because he had killed his father and ended this violence and this monster, he was better. He had improved. He went to the town. He missed people. He went there, and he realized that the main reason he wanted to change was because of his father, and because before he would never be able to meet people. He was lonely and upset. But now, because she had taught him music, and taught him philosophy and poetry and movies that she liked and modern things, his ability to entrap and ensnare and seduce had improved tenfold. And he realized that he kind of liked it. He fell into these habits and killed people and became like his father. After explaining this, he begged her once again to help him, to forgive him. It was in his nature to be like this. He couldn't change it, but he was desperate to try. If she would just give him another chance, and give him a chance like she did before. But this time, the girl is less receptive and sympathetic. She no longer sees him as this innocent victim of bad circumstance, but instead as a monster. Someone who, in their nature, will not change unless they have given consequences for it. She realizes the boy never wanted to change. Now that his situation has improved, and she sees the monster she's helped him to become. And while it's not her fault, she sees that through teaching him how to live and how to like a girl like her, how to be like a boy like he should be, she's made him a much better killer. And when he asks her for her help this time, she refuses. The boy, facing his first real rejection, howls in sadness and anger and moves towards her in a way that could be violent or could be embracing her. But she makes him back away, pointing at him with the red-hot fire poker, and he retreats, howling out into the storm. The girl waits for a moment, looking around the room and at herself, shaking, holding this poker in her hands. She looks at the hot poker and how it sizzles in the rain through the window, hearing that and how it managed to stop him. And she sees the kettle that they both touched in the first scenes and picks it up, knows this is full of hot water, and leaves to chase him into the storm. That's the end of the scene. So, this scene's a pretty wild one. So, this play was originally inspired by a kind of joke concept, the idea of almost the switch, or in my opinion, the more realistic version of the movie Twilight. So, in Twilight, Edward and Bella. So Bella is this young girl who goes to a town and falls in love with a vampire. And one of the first things the vampire tells her is that he is biologically primed to have her fall in love with him. So everything he he is and does, his appearance, his way he talks, even his smell, is designed biologically to entrance her and to make her be into him. And Bella's response to that is, great, I'm into you, basically, and the movie never really talks about the fact that she's meant to be into him because he's a vampire, like he's magically or biologically using her. So my version is essentially that in this version, this strange creature, does that, and instead the human goes, okay, that's terrifying, I'm not into you. The inverse of that, essentially. As we continue on to the next scene. The final scene of the play, scene 7, labeled, Hell hath no fury, as in, from the phrase, Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. We now leave the cottage. The girl heads out into the storm after the boy that she cared so deeply for. But instead of finding him, she is found by the Ikiyisig, the boy in the form of the water horse wearing the masks and dancing and singing and groaning towards her. Her fear and her rage leave her, and while she holds the fire poker and the kettle of boiling water which still sizzles in the rain, she begins to dance around him. He would move around her and spin and sway like water or like cloth in the wind, and she begins to sway with him and almost kiss him, and he tries to kiss her, and there's moments of almost touching, but he keeps pulling away, and she keeps pulling away. Eventually, he is seconds from moving to actually touch her and kiss her, and she begins to reciprocate to touch him and kiss him, but in the last moment, she strikes, stabbing him with the fire poker, and that sound returns again, that of hot metal into water. She sprays the kettle on him and kills him, and he's dead. The girl stands over his body for a moment and walks away. This ending is one that I've deliberated on for a while. I like the idea of the kettle and the poker, because it feels very classic monster stories of how to defeat monsters. The idea of the boiling hot water and the fire poker, these hot metal things being how to defeat this mythical creature. There's another version of this story where she dies, where she does kiss him, she believes in him in the last moment, and he does kill her. Or the version of the story where she does kill him, and as she looks down at his body, she goes to touch his skin and finally break that touch barrier, and he's dead, and she finally can touch him. Or she goes to touch him and doesn't touch him. The ending is one that will, I think, confuse me for a long time. I enjoy writing, but I think I'm a very improv-based person, so I think I would discover the ending as we go and with the actors in the story, because that is the ending of the play. A very brief summary of the plot and the ideas behind it. I have written this and wrote this based on the concept that I believe to be true, is that there are some people in your life that you will try to help, but they are beyond helping. I had a friend that struggled with an abusive relationship, an emotionally abusive one, and I remember something they kept telling me was that he'll be better this time, or I can fix him and he'll do differently this time, but he kept not doing better, and he kept being worse until eventually she managed to leave him. So that idea, the idea that there are some people out there that are just going to hurt you, and the only way you can get out of it is to cut it off, in this case, kill the monster, or, leave, or whatever they're there. The idea that you don't have to forgive the person hurting you, that you don't have to make space for, or make the responsibility for, or look after someone that's dangerous or difficult, if you don't want to. There's a different version of the story where the girl forgives the boy a second time, and maybe everything's wonderful, and he's forgiven and they fall in love and everything's good. Maybe this relapse was just that, a relapse. Or she forgives him and he kills her. My personal philosophy is the latter. It's that some people you just can't help. Some people are just not good for you. Whether that is some sort of abusive relationship or toxic friendship or the relationship to a government and its people or vice versa. So yeah, this is the Seahorse. It is an idea that I hopefully want to write someday. Hopefully soon. I know my friends that would act in it. I know the songs that I would want to play in it. And yeah, it feels very vulnerable to share this. It's something that I've been working on for a long time, but never got on paper. And a lot of my friends know about it. I've talked about it to them, but still, it feels very vulnerable to just put it on the internet. I'm paranoid that someone's now going to write this play and claim it was their own, even though obviously, this now proves they can, because I could just use the video as proof that I wrote this first or whatever. But still, it's one of those things where even though no one's going to care about some random asshole's ASMR summary of the play they want to write, it's still a weird thing of putting it online is scary. But yeah, if you got this far, I hope you're doing well, and I would love to hear your thoughts on the play, especially the ending, and what you think about it. I would love to hear any criticism or advice or any insights at all into it. I love talking about my work and my ideas, so if you have any ideas or suggestions or songs, even anything at all that you think would add to the vibe. In terms of the challenge for this video, so in my videos I like leaving a challenge, essentially something that the audience is invited to participate in order to win a shout out. Give me just one moment. The challenge for this video is I am going to, in the description of this video, leave a Spotify playlist that includes the songs that vibe with this play, the songs that I listen to while writing this play and thinking about it. I want you to tell me what the seventh song is in this playlist. So go to the playlist, find the seventh song, and tell me what it is. And if you're able to do that, then you will win the challenge and you will receive a shout out in the next video. In terms of my last video and that challenge, my ASMR on the Road to Riverwood video, the challenge in that video, I will go to it now. Give me 1 second. I asked people to basically reference the quote that I said at the start of the video. Why do we tell stories? And where did it come from? And username @Hosier's_husband responded that the quote was from Critical Role. That is true. I responded, perhaps, but which Critical Role and by who specifically? And they gave up and said, no clue, but hey, I got it half right. And that is fair. They did get it half right. So congratulations, Hosier's husband. You get a shout out. You've got a very cool username and a very cool profile picture. But yes, the challenge of this video is, what is the seventh song in the Spotify playlist? I hope you're doing well. I hope this was fun. I hope you enjoyed listening to my rambles about the play I'm never going to write, but will keep thinking about forever. I'm, as I said, not doing well, so I can never guarantee any level of consistency with uploads, but I do think about it a lot, and I think about making videos for y'all a lot. It's weird to think that I have a parasocial relationship with my own YouTube channel, if that makes sense. But yes, I hope you're doing well wherever you are, and know that I am excited to hear from you. I'm excited to show you whatever I want to show you. But until next time, I hope you sleep well or receive some relaxation, and that you go subscribe and tell your friends to go subscribe, because we're slowly